Welcome to MarcusG.tv. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. I'm a chef on a mission. Today's mission is olive oil. More olive oil. There's so much to know about olive oil. Sorry for the dark background. It's early in the morning here in New York. I'm in the restaurant getting some work done. I love coming here first thing in the morning, 5:30, 6 o'clock. Of course, it's still dark out then. And just getting a lot of work done, being creative, and making videos sometimes this early in the morning, or at least editing videos. So today's topic is olive oil, pomace olive oil, P-O-M-A-C-E, pomace olive oil. I've known about pomace olive oil for many, many years. Many chefs, the chefs I trained for, really weren't sure what pomace oil was, and I was very interested in pomace oil, so I did a lot of research many years ago and found out that pomace oil was never deemed really for human consumption. So you can find pomace oil right in the store, go on the shelf, you'll see it, it's a cheaper price. But you're also consuming pomace oil a lot of times in your regular extra virgin olive oil because that oil may be blended, adulterated, cut with cheaper oil. Folks, when you go to the store to buy olive oil and you look at all those brands, those aren't the people making, those aren't the people growing the olives, those aren't the people crushing the olive oil. Those are the people just consolidating a bunch of people's works and putting it into a bottle and putting their name on it. Whether it's Colavita, Filippo Berry, whatever the brand is, there's so many layers of olive oil production, right? So these guys are buying oil in the open market. The guys who are lining up the tankers in the ocean with the oil coming from Africa or from Spain or from wherever, these guys are buying oil from cooperatives, and the cooperatives are buying olives from all these different growers. So there's so many different levels. But what happens when you do the first pressing? Okay, so if you're buying extra virgin olive oil, it's automatically understood that you are buying something that is expeller cold pressed, because that's really what has to happen. That's why you don't see cold pressed or expeller pressed on an extra virgin olive oil package. But for the pomace oil, so after you press and grind or centrifuge, a lot of these guys do centrifuge because you're basically pressing the juice out of olives, fresh olives, a fruit. You have all the seeds and the pulp left. So some guys will heat that up a little bit and get a little more out of it. But then what happens when you really can't mechanically extract, right? Because you've just grinded everything down and there's nothing to extract. Well, you can start adding something like hexane gas, which they do with nut and seed oils. So canola oil, corn oil, all these oils, cottonseed oil, they add hexane gas, and that's a solvent that just basically pulls everything out of the oil. Well, what happens when you add a chemical to it? You have to try to get that hexane gas out. So then you go through a series of processing where you have to high temp this oil, bring it up to several hundred degrees, and then a lot of times this oil is very dark, very cloudy, even like almost like it's burnt oil. So they have to go in and deodorize it to take away the odor. They have to bleach it to take away the color. They have to stabilize it. They do all these funky things to this oil. So pomace oil in Italy, folks, is called lampante. Lampante is lamp oil, fuel oil. In Apulia, which is, they say, the birthplace of the olive oil industry, in Apulia there's 60 million trees, 250,000 residents. That's an average of 240 trees per person of olive trees in Apulia. That can be very well known as the birthplace of the olive oil industry, right? However, most of that oil is sold off for fuel oil to electric companies, for lamp oil. For centuries, the churches would use olive oil as lamp oil because it burned better than any other fuel, better than any other oil. So lampante. Now, a lot of the Italians know you don't eat or consume lampante, but as a way for these big producers to get more yield, they process the lampante, the pomace oil, and they put it on the market. They cut it with your olive oil, and they stick it in with, you guessed it, extra virgin olive oil, and they put it on the shelf as pomace oil. So a lot of chefs I've known over the years say, oh, pomace oil is okay to cook with, Marcus. Pomace oil is something that can withstand high heat. Well, it's already been heated up and blasted with heat, and then gone through all the funky chemical adulterations and processing. So, how much more damage could you actually do to it? But the bottom line was that oil in the beginning was not fit for human consumption. So these companies figured out a way to just stretch it out and get more money, more yield. And so that's what pomace oil is, folks. Now, if you took pomace oil and added beta carotene to it, which is a flavor enhancer, and maybe put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil in there, you would have no idea what you were tasting. You'd have no clue that it was not extra virgin olive oil if the label said extra virgin olive oil. And besides, see, olive oil can get adulterated a couple different ways. You can put other cheaper oils in, like hazelnut oil, sunflower oil, and cut it in with extra virgin olive oil. Or you can take extra virgin olive oil and cut it with pomace olive oil, which, is obviously in the same family. And this is what goes on the shelves, folks. This is what's out there. So there's so many different layers of olive oil production, from the growers themselves to the pressers, to all these co-ops, to the tanker trucks that line up in Italy in the ocean just waiting to drop off oil, that even if some guy has great intentions, if the owner of a big brand X olive oil company has the best intentions in the world of giving you the best extra virgin olive oil, he's relying upon 3, 4, 5 guys down the chain from him that have hopefully done the right thing. And it's a very lucrative and scandalous industry where these guys can make tons of money by subbing in cheap oils, and it happens all along. So Colavita might say, well, we're the strictest company out there, but the people who they're buying from, they have no idea. They have no idea going down. It's a lot of this is untraceable, folks, totally untraceable, the quality of olive oil that's going to these bottles. An Italian expert, and I wish I could remember his name and where I read this, olive oil expert said, 2% of all the oils in the market are great, 8% are good, and 90% avoid them. Avoid them. They're just not the real deal at all. They're adulterated. Something's gone on with them that you should not be consuming them. Don't support them. So 2% of all of olive oil in the market, folks, if you're buying a gallon at the store or 3 liters at the store for $20, $25, that's not the good stuff at all. The good stuff, that top 2%, is going to be expensive. I would suggest buying it, using it very sparingly, use it to season with, and do not cook with it. Cook with something like sunflower oil. Cook with another oil that has high heat resistance. That's not going to go bad, and that obviously costs a much better price. I'm Marcus Guiliano. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. Thanks for watching. If you like my videos, please hit like, subscribe, pass it on. Check out, I'm going to do a lot of videos on olive oil because there's so much to know about olive oil. And the average American knows nothing about olive oil. In fact, the average Italian knows nothing about olive oil. Folks, Italy exports the most amount of olive oil in the says product of Italy. Actually, Spain produces the most, but they send it to Italy, and it gets packed in Italy, co-packed in Italy, and it's product of Spain, really. But all these guys, because it's getting packed in Italy, it says product of Italy, and you think that Italy was the biggest olive oil producer, when in fact they're not. Spain is the king when it comes to the overall olive oil production as far as volume, but it all gets sold off as Italian. Tunisia, all of Northern Africa, they make olive oil, but it all gets, again, shipped to Italy and packaged under product of Italy. In fact, Italian foods are probably some of the most scandalous fraudulent foods. Prosciutto, all those pigs in Parma, they're saying about half of those pigs aren't even from Parma. They're getting pulled in from Slovenia, from Hungary, from other countries. Porcinis, when porcinis get picked in all those other countries, they get brought into Italy, and then they get packaged as Italian porcinis. Same thing with some truffles, and it's for some reason there's an allure of Italian foods. So if you're buying something that's too cheap, there's a reason for it. Pasta, a lot of those Italian pasta makers, the flour is not grown in Italy. You think those big guys, Barilla and all those big guys, are buying true, I'm not pointing the finger at Barilla specifically, but it's just a big brand name that a lot of people recognize. But if you're going to, of course, when you go to the store here in America and buy Barilla, their flour comes from the U.S. and they have a plant in the U.S. But if you went to buy a famous brand, Italian brand, how would you feel if you found out that their product wasn't even sourced from Italian soil, that they're buying the flour on an open market? Anybody can buy flour on an open market, semolina flour, and and then make pasta at that point. What makes it better? What makes it worse? So, folks, good food costs money. Do your research. Buy from companies that are transparent. Buy from people that do research. Buy the better products whenever you possibly can. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. Thanks for watching. If you like my videos, please hit like, give it a thumbs up, share it, pass it on, ask some questions, and I'll be happy to answer.